Good afternoon, dear student. Today I am going to discuss false evidences and offences against public justice. The provision relating to these offences are mentioned from section 191 to 229. Offences under this chapter, that is chapter 11 of the IPC, can be categorized into two groups. First, giving or fabricating false evidence. It is given from 191 to 200, and this may be further subdivided as follows: giving false evidence 191, fabricating false evidence 192, punishment for giving false evidence and fabricating false evidence, it is given in 193. Third is aggravated form of giving false evidence and fabricating false evidence. Fourth is offences punishable in the same way as giving or fabricating the false evidence. Second group is that offences against public justice. It is given from section offences against public justice 201 to 229. This may be further subdivided as follows: causing disappearance of evidence such as intentional omission to give information, giving false information, and destruction of documentary evidence. It is from section 201 to 204. And there is false personation from 205 to 229. Abuse of process of court of justice is given from 206 to 210. And false charge of an offence is given under 211. Screening and harboring of offenders. Harboring offenders is given under 201, 212 to 215, 216 to 16A. Offences against justice by public servants is given under 217 to 223. Resisting the law is given from 224, 225 and 225B. Violation of conditions of remission is given under 227, and lastly contempt of court is given under 228. Giving false evidence or perjury. Perjury is an offence. So giving false evidence or perjury, this offence intended to be covered under this section is the offence of perjury in English law. According to English statutory law, as stated in Halsbury's Laws of England, a person is by statute guilty of the crime of perjury if lawfully sworn as a witness or as an interpreter in a judicial proceeding. He lawfully makes a statement material in that proceeding which he knows to be false or does not believe to be true. There should at least be two witnesses to convict a person of the offence of perjury under English law. The offence as defined in section 191 IPC comprises of the following 5 elements. First, a false statement made by a person who is bound by an oath or by an express provision of law, or a declaration which a person is bound by law to make on any subject, and which statement or declaration is false and which he either knows or believes to be false or does not believe to be true. The 3 essential prerequisite conditions are a legal obligation to state the truth, second, the making of a false statement or declaration, and third is belief in its falsity. And next section is section 192, that is fabricating false evidence. The offence of fabricating false evidence under 192 involve 3 elements. First, the causing of any circumstance to exist, making any false entry, or of any document containing a false statement. Second, with the intention that it may appear in evidence in a judicial proceeding or in a proceeding taken by law before a public servant or an arbitrator. And third is in order to cause any person whose duty it is in such proceedings to form an opinion upon the evidence to arrive at an erroneous opinion on any point material to the result of such proceeding. What is distinction between giving false evidence and fabricating false evidence? It is very important to understand. First, in both, it is the intentional giving of false evidence or intentional fabrication that is made punishable. Mens rea is the essence of both the offences. But in case of giving false evidence, only general intention is sufficient, whereas in fabrication, particular intention is essential. Again, it has to be noted that section 192 differs from 191 in that the fabrication must be on a point material to the proceedings, whereas in giving false statements, it need not be made on a material point. The offence is complete when a false statement is made, though it may not have been in relation to a material point. In such cases, law demands that whatever a person states shall be true. In case of fabrication, which is usually done in secret behind court, law will not interfere unless the doing causes injury to another being on a material. In fact, but for the safeguards provided for in 192 IPC, a person charged under that section may incur the penalty, though his act may have caused no injury to any person. Again, the effect of false evidence under 192 must be such as to lead the court or officer concerned to form an erroneous opinion touching any material object, but the effect on the officer is immaterial to fix liability under section 191. Under section 191, there must be a proceeding, judicial or non-judicial, pending or in existence at the time when the offence is committed. Section 193 provide that whoever intentionally give false evidence in any stage of judicial proceeding or fabricates false evidence for the purpose of being used in any stage of the judicial proceeding shall be punished for a term which may extend to 7 years. If the giving of or fabricating of false evidence in any other case, that is any case other than judicial proceeding, the punishment prescribed is imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 years and shall also be liable to fine. Section 194 and 195 deal with aggravated form of giving or fabricating false evidence. Aggravated form refer to cases wherein the accused are charged with very serious offences such as murder, culpable homicide not amounting to murder, rape, dacoity, where the punishment awarded to the accused is either death sentence or imprisonment for life. Using false evidence is given under section 196, and this section makes the use of false evidence as if it is true or genuine punishable. The wording of the section is very broad and it states whoever corruptly uses false evidence as true is punishable. 197 talks about false certificate, issuing or signing false certificate. So section 197 makes the issuing or signing of false certificates an offence, and the essential ingredient of this offence are: first, the certificate issued or signed must be one which is required by law to be given or must be one which is admissible in evidence. Second, the certificate should be false in any material point. And third, the person issuing or signing the certificate should know that it is false. Section 198 talks about using a false certificate. So 198 makes punishable the use of false certificate as if it is a genuine one. In this section also the word used is corruptly and has the same meaning as used in section 196. On the other hand, section 199 makes the making of false declaration which is legally receivable in law as evidence of the facts so declare an offence. The essential ingredient of the offence are as follows. First, the document making the declaration should be one which will be admissible in evidence as per law as proof of the fact declared in the document. Second, the declaration so made must be false. And third, the person making the declaration must be aware or have knowledge that the statement made in declaration is false. And fourth element is the false statement in the declaration must be in respect of a material point for which the declaration is made. Section 200 talks about use of false declaration. And as per this section, if anybody makes use of false declaration as if it were true, then an offense is committed. The word such declaration used in 200 refers to a declaration as contemplated in the previous section 199. Now part B of this chapter talks about offenses against public justice and causing disappearance of evidence. It is given under following sections. The section 201 deals with two aspects. One is causing disappearance of evidence and the second is giving false information about the offense. The following are the essential ingredients of this section. First, there must be an offense which has been committed. Second, a person should cause the disappearance of any evidence of crime committed. Third, it should be done with the intention of screening or saving the culprit from punishment. And fourth, a person must give false information about the offense. Fifth is, he must be aware or have knowledge that the information given by him is false. And sixth element is, it must be done with the intention of screening the offender or the culprit. Next is section 202, that is omission to give information. As a responsible citizen, it is the duty of every person to give information about the commission of an offense to the authorities concerned as to facilitate investigation and prosecution of criminals. Section 39 and 40 of CRPC require a person aware of the commission of any offense or of any intention of any person to commit any offense specified in the section to inform forthwith the nearest magistrate or police officer about such commission or intention. If a person does not give the information, he must be able to establish that he had a reasonable excuse for failing to give the information. Section 202 therefore makes the failure to give information of the commission of an offense punishable with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 6 months or with fine or with both. 203 talks about giving false information about an offense. Section 203 punishes any person who is aware of the commission of the crime and gives false information in the respect of that crime with imprisonment, which may extend for a period of 2 years or with fine or with both. Section 201, 202, 203 are related but different. They deal with various aspects of offences dealing with conduct of persons after the commission of the main offence. Section 204 deals with destruction of document either by completely destroying it or by blotting out, erasing or defacing certain portions of the document or the entire document with the intention that it be prevented from being produced or being used as evidence in any court or before any public servant. Such destruction may have been carried out either prior to it being summoned to be produced in court or after the person was lawfully required to produce the document in court. This offence is punishable with imprisonment of either description, which may extend to a period of 2 years or with fine or both. Section 205 talks about 205 and 203, 229. This section 205 and 229 makes impersonation an offense. Impersonation means pretending to be another person. For instance, if A pretends to be B, then it means that A is impersonating B. However, the impersonation should have been done in a civil or criminal proceeding. For the purpose of conviction under this section, it is not necessary that impersonation should be done fraudulently or dishonestly. Even if the impersonation is done with the consent of the person impersonated, it will nevertheless be an offense under this section. Section 206 to 2010 to 10 of the IPC deal with cases of abuse of process of court of justice, either by the plaintiff or by the defendant. Section 206 makes punishable fraudulent removal, transfer or delivery of any property with the intention of defeating the outcome of any proceeding or proceedings of execution or forfeiture orders that may be passed by a court of justice or other competent authority. The section uses the word fraudulently, which is defined in section 25 IPC. On the other hand, section 207 deals with making fraudulent claims to a property, knowing fully well that the person making the claim has no rightful claim to such property. Such claims should be made with intention to prevent the property from being taken as forfeiture or in the satisfaction of a fine or in execution of a decree under a sentence of a court. Section 208, on the other hand, contemplates a situation wherein a person fraudulently suffers a decree for a sum that is not due. Though the section does not state as to what is the intention or purpose with which the person concerned should suffer the decree, the word fraudulently would throw some light on it. Section 209 relates to false and fraudulent claims in a court of justice. The person making the claims should do so fraudulently or dishonestly and with an intention to injure or annoy any person. The person making the claim should know that the claim made is false. On the other hand, section 210 punishes a plaintiff for obtaining a decree for sum not due, whereas 208 punishes a defendant for fraudulently suffering a decree for a sum not due. This section will apply only if the prosecution is able to establish a fraudulent or criminal intention on the part of the plaintiff and not a bona fide mistake. And section 211 talks about false charges of an offence. This section makes falsely charging a person of an offence, or in other words, falsely accusing a person of an offence, punishable. This section is akin to malicious prosecution. To constitute an offence under this section, it must be established that the accused instituted or caused to be instituted a criminal proceeding against a person. Second, that he falsely charged a person with having committed an offence. Third, that he did so with intent to cause injury to such person. And fourth, that he did so knowing that there was no just or lawful ground for such proceeding or charge. Section 212 talks about harboring offender. As seen earlier, 201 deals with causing disappearance of evidence and giving false information to screen the offender, while 212 deals with harboring of offenders. An offence under this section presupposes that some other offence has been committed by another person whom the accused harbors or conceals with the intention of screening the other person from legal punishment. The word harbor includes supplying a person with shelter, food, drink, money, clothes, arms, ammunition, or means of conveyance, or assisting a person in any way to evade apprehension. Mere knowledge of the whereabouts of the offender does not amount to harboring him unless the alleged harbor is guilty of supplying the person with food, shelter, etc. The exception to this section provides that this provision shall not extend to any case in which the harboring or the concealment is done by the husband or wife of the offender. So section 212 is attracted only when it is established that the person had harbored or concealed a person whom he knew or reasonably believed to be an offender. Hence, it is necessary for the prosecution to prove that the offence in the question was committed. The accused has harbored or concealed the person known or reasonably believed to be an offender. And third, such harboring or concealing was done with the intention of screening the offender from legal punishment. Section 213 makes the receiving of gift or gratification in consideration for concealing an offence or screening an offence from legal punishment. An offence. Before a person can be convicted under this section, it is essential that there must be commission of the main offence and the same should be proved. On the other hand, section 214 is complementary to 213. While section 213 makes the taking of gift, gratification, etc. to screen an offender from punishment and offence, section 214 makes the offering of gifts or gratification to any person in consideration for screening an offender and offence. The intention of the legislature under these two sections is to generally discourage malpractice such as concealment of offences or screening offenders where offences have already been committed. And next is section 215 and 216. 216 makes the harboring of the offender who has been either convicted or charged with an offence and who has escaped from lawful custody an offence. Now, these have been the offences, although there are some of the sections, but rest of the section I hope you will be self-studying. Thank you very well. Thank you very much.